Welcome to Meet the Candidate 2022, and we're recording here at the Dry Fly Distillery, and my guest is Natalie Poulson, who is running for State Representative in District 3. Welcome, Natalie.
Thank you.
This is the Get Acquainted conversation, just a little bit about your background and less about the politics, but I will end with a 1-minute wrap-up for you can give your campaign pitch.
Okay.
But to start with, tell me about where you grew up and started school.
I grew up in Spokane, out in the valley when it was still part of Spokane. Did not become its own city until after I graduated. And I graduated from U High, go Titans, and then went on to Gonzaga and got my master's at Whitworth. So I've been here my whole life, and I've been in District 3 for 25 years, where I raised 2 of my children, 2 of the 3. I have a 25-year-old daughter, a 22-year-old son who just graduated from college, and then I have a 6-year-old.
Ah,
Yes.
a little tag-along.
Yes. Greatest blessing I didn't know I needed.
Oh, that's very nice sometimes.
Absolutely.
So you gave me a little bit of background on your family. What do you like to do for recreation in the area?
I love to be outdoors. We have the most amazing spots to go hiking, camping, lots of lakes, or the river, of course. So we just really like to be outdoors. And we also enjoy just going to the library and downtown at Riverfront and just doing things like that.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the education. You mentioned where you'd finished school, but tell us about what it is you studied and how you've used that training.
Absolutely. I started first going straight to work, and it just wasn't quite what I wanted. It wasn't my passion, wasn't what I wanted to do. So I went back to school, started at Spokane Community College, where I received my AA degree, and then I transferred to Gonzaga, where I studied education. And I have a dual endorsement in elementary education and special education. So I was able to do a little bit of both in my 18 years of teaching.
So which one did you prefer, or is that like asking which one of your kids is your favorite?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
No, pros and cons to everything. I just love working with kids. I worked with special needs for about 10 years, did resource rooms, so students with learning disabilities or behavioral goals, and I just loved it. I always said they were just kind of that puzzle that I just needed to help them figure out how to make life work for them.
Yeah, how to be their best selves.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So one of the other things that shapes how we look at our community is traveling to other communities. Are there some travel experiences that have given you insights into Spokane?
Absolutely. I did actually live in Arizona for a year when my first daughter was a year old, from her first birthday to her second birthday. But I came home because Spokane is home and this is where my family is. I also have done 2 mission trips to Senegal, Africa, and that definitely opens up your world and shows you a different perspective. And then I've also done some traveling in Europe. So
what lessons might you bring back from that give you a different perspective on Spokane?
I would definitely say in Africa, the pros and cons. Pros is community, and I really feel that Spokane is a community, and that's what has always drawn me to stay here. And then the other part that really stood out to me while I was in Africa was sanitation, just that we have such an amazing system to where we keep our streets clean and our garbage picked up, and it's a system, and it is just very different. Our water is clean.
Water is a big thing. I know in our own church we've sponsored Water Missions International, which is one of several nonprofits that just works on that basic water access issue around the world. Yeah. So life today is fine. You were teaching, you are not teaching now. You could touch a little bit on how that came about.
Yes. So I've been teaching my entire career for Spokane Public Schools. And we already touched on, I've done special ed, I've done 4th grade, 6th grade, and then most recently I supported teachers and students with behavioral goals. So I traveled between schools. And back in November, I decided to advocate for students. There were a lot of students that were really struggling with wearing a mask.
Is that particularly among the special education population?
It was a little bit of both. I did a lot of work in gen ed and also with students that had behavioral goals, did a little bit of both. And both sides, there were a lot of kids. I was watching students withdraw. I was watching them not interact with adults or their peers. And they were just kind of hiding and really struggling with social skills and interacting. And there were some parents that were really struggling as well. There were just students that didn't do well with the mask. And so I chose to advocate for them by not wearing a mask on one day. It was not an anti-mask thing. It was a bring some awareness to students that needed to have a voice. And I was put on administrative leave, and I was terminated about 5 months later. After Inslee lifted the mask mandate, I was terminated for not wearing a mask on one day.
Okay, so we'll follow up on that on another conversation. But just to let people know why you're not teaching now.
That's why I'm not teaching
today. So does that lead into an answer to the question to what was your inspiration to run for office?
Absolutely. I have always advocated for my own children as well as my students and the families that I've had the joy of working with, and I'm ready to take that advocacy to the state level. I worked really hard on trying to be a voice at the school boards and to city council, and it just wasn't going anywhere. So I'm ready to be a true public servant and try to be a voice for all of us over in Olympia.
Okay, so that's a good place to turn to that. Your 1 minute to answer the question directly. Why should people vote for Natalie Poulson for State Representative for District 3?
They should definitely vote for me because I know that I have the courage to stand up even when it's difficult, and I know that courage is contagious, and I will advocate for public safety, which has changed so immensely in this city recently. So I will stand for public safety. I will always stand for education, and I think there's a lot of work that we can do to reform education. And I also really want to focus on having a common sense balanced budget for the state. I know that we balance the budget by law, but common sense. So if we have a huge surplus, I feel like some of that should come back to the taxpayers. And then I also feel that we need to advocate for Eastern Washington to get the share of the state budget that we often kind of get left behind.
Okay, well, thank you for coming in today, Natalie, and enjoy the campaign.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
From Chud Sr. to Dick Wendell, to Kristen and myself.
And now to our kids.
Our goal is to help people drive for generations.
From roll-up windows to power everything. From stick to automatic. From gas to electric.
No one can totally predict what technology is coming our way.
But I can guarantee we will be here before and after the sale, giving you the confidence for generations to come.
That's the Wendell way. Drive for generations.
Hey voters, join me, Kirk Cameron, on Saturday, September 24th with We Believe, We Vote at the Spokane Convention Center for a night of celebrating biblical citizenship.
Join We Believe, We Vote for our annual fundraiser on Saturday, September 24th, 2022 with Kirk Cameron. For tickets and event information, please visit WeBelieveWeVote.com. That's WeBelieveWeVote.com. We'll see you there.
Weather in the inland Northwest can wear you down. And if your gutters are in poor condition or you do not have gutters, you could suffer damage that could cost a fortune to fix. Rainman Seamless Rain Gutters has almost 30 years of professional experience in serving the inland Northwest region and strives to ensure customer service that is second to none from the time you call to the end of the project.